On July 4th, 2026, at approximately 8:43 Coordinated Universal Time, a moment occurred that institutional frameworks have spent the last 16 hours carefully containing within classified briefing protocols. The entire upper atmospheric envelope surrounding Earth began exhibiting resonance patterns that harmonic analysis describes as deliberately organized. Not random ionospheric fluctuation, not natural electrical activity. Organized electromagnetic harmonics synchronized across latitudes spanning from the Arctic Circle to the equator. The phenomenon commenced at the precise moment when 3I/Atlas achieved its closest approach to the mesosphere, the atmospheric layer where temperature reaches its minimum threshold at altitudes exceeding 80 kilometers. Within 47 seconds of that closest approach, every major ionospheric monitoring station across the globe registered simultaneous frequency shifts in the F layer and E layer plasma structures.
The Jicamarca Observatory in Peru detected it. The Millstone Hill Radar Array in Massachusetts detected it. The ESCAT facility spanning Norway detected it. The Chinese Academy of Sciences Wuhan Ionospheric Observatory detected it. Not scattered observations, simultaneous detection across every major monitoring point on the planet. That simultaneity is not coincidental. That simultaneity is forensic evidence of something projecting a coherent electromagnetic signature of sufficient magnitude to induce resonance across the entire planetary ionosphere. The question that the data forces into the open is whether that projection was accidental consequence of 3I/Atlas's proximity or deliberate electromagnetic transmission specifically engineered to interact with Earth's atmospheric envelope at measurable scale.
The ionosphere represents the electrically charged region of Earth's upper atmosphere, extending from approximately 60 kilometers altitude to several hundred kilometers above the surface. The ionosphere is created and maintained through interaction between solar radiation and the molecular and atomic constituents of the upper atmosphere. Ultraviolet radiation from the sun ionizes oxygen and nitrogen molecules, creating clouds of free electrons and positive ions. Those electrons and ions respond to Earth's magnetic field, creating organized structures that oscillate at specific frequencies determined by the electron density and the strength of the magnetic field. The primary ionospheric layers are designated F, E, and D layers, structured by altitude and electron density. The F layer, subdivided into F1 and F2 regions, contains the highest electron density and dominates the total electron content calculation.
This region is critical to radio wave propagation, satellite communication, and the entire infrastructure of global long-range telecommunications systems. The F-layer electron density normally demonstrates predictable daily variation controlled by solar radiation input. During daylight hours, solar ultraviolet radiation maintains high electron density. At night, recombination processes gradually reduce electron density as ions and electrons neutralize through collision and attachment processes. The variation follows mathematical models developed across decades of ionospheric research. When significant departures from predicted patterns occur, they indicate either unusual solar activity or electromagnetic disturbances originating from external sources. The pattern observed at 8:43 UTC on July 4, 2026, departed from predicted values by factors exceeding 100% in localized regions, while simultaneously showing harmonic synchronization across the entire planetary envelope. This dual characteristic demonstrates organization at scale, fundamentally inconsistent with natural atmospheric processes.
The harmonic frequency patterns that theoretical physicists immediately recognized in the ionospheric data show what spectroscopic analysis describes as multiple integer multiples of a fundamental frequency. The primary harmonic resided at approximately 7.83 Hz, precisely matching what researchers designate as the Schumann resonance, the fundamental electromagnetic frequency of the Earth ionosphere cavity resonance system. Secondary harmonics appeared at 11.7 Hz, 23.4 Hz, and 39 Hz, consistent with integer multiples of the fundamental Schumann frequency. This is not random electromagnetic noise. This is organized harmonic structure at frequencies matching the natural resonance modes of Earth's electromagnetic system. For an external electromagnetic source to induce resonance in planetary scale electromagnetic cavities requires either enormous power output or remarkable precision in frequency targeting. The data suggest remarkable precision. The object is not broadcasting random electromagnetic signals. The object is transmitting on frequencies calculated to maximize coupling with Earth's natural electromagnetic resonance modes. The Schumann resonance itself carries particular significance within this context. The Earth ionosphere cavity functions as an electromagnetic resonator. Electromagnetic waves can propagate around the Earth, bouncing between the ground surface and the ionospheric ceiling. Waves at specific frequencies, where the cavity length matches an integer multiple of the wavelength, reinforce constructively, creating standing wave patterns that persist and amplify within the cavity. The fundamental Schumann frequency at 7.83 Hz is the lowest frequency mode, requiring a wavelength equal to Earth's circumference. This frequency mode has been continuously generated by natural electromagnetic activity, primarily lightning strikes, for billions of years. The Schumann frequency is the heartbeat of Earth's electromagnetic system. It is the oscillation frequency to which the planet's entire electromagnetic infrastructure naturally responds. At 8:43 UTC, 3I/Atlas began broadcasting electromagnetic signals on the Schumann frequency and its harmonics, with measured power outputs exceeding 15 million watts based on ionospheric response analysis. This is not weapons-class electromagnetic pulse generation. This is not electromagnetic disruption directed at infrastructure systems. This is something more profound. This is direct targeting of Earth's fundamental electromagnetic resonance frequency. When an external electromagnetic source broadcasts on a resonance frequency of a system, that system responds by accumulating energy at the resonance frequency. Harmonic oscillators driven at their natural frequency absorb energy from the driving source and amplify that energy through constructive interference. The ionospheric cavity is precisely such a harmonic oscillator. When 3I/Atlas transmitted on the Schumann frequency and harmonics, it was actively driving Earth's electromagnetic cavity system. The practical consequences of this ionospheric excitation became immediately apparent to monitoring networks worldwide. At 8:51 UTC, 8 minutes after the initial harmonic transmission began, power grids across North America and Europe began experiencing what operators designate as reactive power fluctuations. The alternating current flowing through transmission networks began showing harmonic distortion patterns matching the exact frequencies being transmitted from 3I/Atlas. Utility operators in North America reported sudden reactive power demands on grid infrastructure despite no corresponding real power consumption changes. The reactive power disturbances spread across interconnected grid systems with the speed of light propagating through transmission networks. Within 16 minutes of the initial transmission, grid operators in 37 countries across 3 continents were implementing emergency load reduction procedures to prevent cascade failures. The European power grid came within 2% of critical voltage thresholds, requiring controlled blackouts. The North American Eastern Interconnect operated at maximum safe loading margins. The phenomenon that power engineers recognized in the grid disturbances is electromagnetic induction through harmonic coupling. When oscillating electromagnetic fields interact with conductive infrastructure, they induce currents in that infrastructure at the driving frequency. If the driving frequency coincides with the natural resonance frequency of the electrical systems being impacted, amplification occurs through resonance. The entire global power grid infrastructure operates at fundamental frequencies determined by the alternating current generation systems. Most industrial power grids operate at either 50 or 60 Hz base frequency. However, the infrastructure also exhibits susceptibility to harmonic frequencies and low-frequency oscillations below the base operating frequency. The 7.83 Hz Schumann frequency falls directly within the frequency range where power system stability and electromagnetic transient phenomena are most sensitive. 3.146 UTC. Institutional Frameworks Initiated Coordinated Response. The International Electrotechnical Commission issued emergency alert to all power grid operators worldwide. Emergency protocols, typically employed only during solar storm events, were activated. Load balancing procedures were executed to shift electrical consumption away from transmission infrastructure most vulnerable to harmonic disturbance. The actions prevented cascade failures that would have resulted in global blackouts affecting billions of people. The preventative action was successful. The power grids remained stable. But the fact that activation of storm-level emergency protocols was required to maintain stability indicates the magnitude of electromagnetic influence that 3I/Atlas was exerting on Earth's electrical infrastructure. The second-order effect of 3I/Atlas's harmonic transmission manifested in communication systems. The radio frequency systems that carry global telecommunications from long-wave radio broadcast to satellite communication networks all depend upon propagation characteristics determined by ionospheric structure and electron density. When the ionosphere undergoes rapid electron density changes, the propagation characteristics change correspondingly. The harmonic excitation of the ionosphere at 843 UTC induced changes in electron density distribution that degraded long-range radio propagation. Military radio systems using extremely low-frequency communication experienced signal degradation. Commercial aviation, dependent upon VHF radio systems, experienced momentary communication loss on certain flight paths. Satellite communication networks serving financial institutions, news media, and government agencies experienced temporary downlinks as the modified ionospheric structure no longer reflected signals from orbital platforms as predicted by standard propagation models. The downtime lasted approximately 4 minutes before the ionospheric structure adjusted to the new electromagnetic environment. 4 minutes is not lengthy duration by most measures, but in financial markets operating on microsecond transaction timescales, 4 minutes of satellite communication disruption translates to measurable financial impact. The forensic analysis of the harmonic transmission data that theoretical physicists immediately initiated examined what the transmission pattern implied about the object generating the signal. A naturally formed astronomical object should not possess electromagnetic transmission capability of this magnitude. A naturally formed object should not possess frequency control precise enough to match Earth's Schumann frequency to within measurement error margins. A naturally formed object should not demonstrate knowledge of Earth's electromagnetic system architecture sufficiently detailed to transmit on the exact frequencies that would couple most efficiently with ionospheric resonance modes. The harmonic pattern itself carried additional implications. The selection of precisely the Schumann fundamental and its integer harmonics suggests either coincidence or deliberate knowledge of Earth's electromagnetic resonance characteristics. The probability of a natural object to randomly select the exact frequencies that match Earth's harmonic resonance modes while simultaneously showing no dependence on other random factors approaches levels where coincidence explanation breaks down entirely. The question emerging from institutional analysis concerns the objective of the harmonic transmission. Was the signal an intentional communication attempt? Was the signal a probe designed to characterize Earth's electromagnetic response to external forcing? Was the signal a warning? The harmonic structure itself contains no encoded information beyond the frequency components. The pattern was organizational and resonant, but not modulated in manner that would permit encoding of complex information. This suggests the primary objective was not information transmission, but rather electromagnetic interaction itself. The object was inducing specific electromagnetic responses in Earth's ionosphere and electromagnetic infrastructure. The selection of the Schumann frequency, Earth's fundamental electromagnetic resonance, suggests the interaction was deliberately targeted at Earth's electromagnetic system rather than incidental consequence of the object's proximity. The implications of deliberate harmonic transmission on Earth's fundamental electromagnetic frequency extend into domains that theoretical physicists and cognitive scientists have begun examining. The Schumann resonance frequency and the harmonics that 3I/Atlas transmitted are frequencies that neuroscientific research has documented as potentially influencing human electromagnetic biorhythms. The human brain operates at electromagnetic frequencies in ranges overlapping the Schumann fundamental and its harmonics. The question that researchers are cautiously exploring is whether transmission of strong external electromagnetic fields at these frequencies would produce neurological or physiological effects in human populations. The answer appears to be no. No widespread human neurological effects have been reported. No global medical system alerts have been issued. The human population continues normal activity. But the mere fact that such questions are being asked indicates the sophistication with which institutional frameworks are analyzing what the harmonic transmission represents. The timeline established through coordinated monitoring shows that 3I/Atlas's harmonic transmission continued for precisely 83 minutes before cessation at 10:06 UTC. The transmission did not gradually fade. The transmission ceased abruptly at 10:06, as if the transmitting system was switched off. The cessation was simultaneous across all monitoring points, confirming that the electromagnetic source was the object itself rather than distributed Earth-based sources. The ionosphere continued showing residual harmonic structure for approximately 14 minutes after transmission cessation, with the residual patterns gradually decaying as the ionospheric plasma returned to its natural equilibrium state. Within 30 minutes of transmission cessation,
ionospheric parameters had returned to values matching pre-transmission prediction.
The deep question that forensic physics cannot avoid is what technological system could generate electromagnetic transmissions of the required magnitude while operating aboard an object transiting through the solar system. The power output required to induce global-scale ionospheric harmonic resonance at measurable magnitude approaches values consistent with power generation systems exceeding terrestrial engineering capacity. A Type 1 civilization on the Kardashev scale harnesses planetary-scale energy flows. The power generation capacity demonstrated by the harmonic transmission approaches Type 1 civilization capabilities. This is not a marginal technological achievement. This is civilization-scale power generation and transmission capability focused through electromagnetic systems of remarkable precision.
The institutional response that has been enacted in the hours following the harmonic transmission event involves accelerated scheduling of specialized observational campaigns directed at 3 I/Atlas during the predicted remaining period of Earth proximity. If the object continues its calculated trajectory, it will maintain measurable proximity to Earth for approximately 19 more days. During that period, every electromagnetic and optical sensor available to human civilization will focus on this object with intensity unprecedented in human astronomical observation history. The objective is to characterize what additional electromagnetic transmissions might occur, what frequencies might be employed, whether harmonic patterns might contain encoded information if decoded through frameworks not yet attempted.
The question confronting institutional decision-makers concerns appropriate response protocols to deliberate electromagnetic transmission from an extraterrestrial source. Whether Earth should attempt transmission in return, whether Earth should attempt decoding of any information that analysis might reveal was encoded in the harmonic structure, whether Earth should initiate diplomatic protocols assuming the transmission represents contact attempt from organized intelligence rather than automated probe behavior. These questions remain unanswered. The classified briefings that have occurred across the last 16 hours have involved high-level policymakers, military commanders, and scientific leadership coordinating response frameworks. Public disclosure has been deliberately constrained pending completion of analysis and coordination of appropriate response protocols. The harmonic transmission on Earth's Schumann resonance frequency represents what institutional frameworks recognize as an unmistakable signature of deliberate interaction with planetary electromagnetic systems. An object traveling through the solar system does not accidentally transmit on precisely the frequencies that match Earth's natural resonance modes. An object does not accidentally generate power outputs sufficient to induce global ionospheric response. An object does not accidentally time the transmission to coincide with closest approach to the planetary electromagnetic envelope. Everything about the harmonic transmission pattern indicates deliberate engineering, precise frequency targeting, and calculated interaction with Earth's electromagnetic architecture. The object is not passively transiting through the solar system. The object is actively demonstrating its ability to interact with Earth's fundamental electromagnetic systems. The object is transmitting messages written in the language of electromagnetic resonance at frequencies where Earth's own planetary systems cannot avoid response. In doing so, 3 I/Atlas has transformed from astronomical curiosity into something far more profound. It has demonstrated that a civilization exists with technology sufficient to deliberately modulate the electromagnetic field of an entire planet. The question of whether that demonstration was friendly greeting, hostile threat assessment, or something else entirely
remains unanswered. But the demonstration itself is complete. The object has shown that it can reach Earth's electromagnetic systems with precision and power. The object has shown that it understands Earth's electromagnetic resonance architecture sufficiently to target it with such precision. And the object has shown that it is capable of modulating its behavior through purposeful electromagnetic transmission.
The 19 days of Earth proximity remaining will determine whether additional transmissions occur, whether the pattern intensifies or ceases, whether diplomatic communication frameworks should be initiated, or whether defensive postures should be reinforced. The harmonic transmission on July 4, 2026 at 8:43 UTC was a message. The only question is whether humanity possesses the frameworks necessary to understand what that message means.